and I'm grateful that I'm here. I also thank my fellow panelists. These are people who have stood out and done whatever they could do with what they have, which is my philosophy of life. Do whatever you can do with what you have. Don't wait to have what you don't have to do what you are supposed to do. So I'm very grateful. I think the question we have in this country is a very simple one. The challenge we have is 3 words. Not the mambo na matatu of the president. My 3 words are rule of law. Rule of law. Hiyo ndio mambo matatu ya Kenya. Shida ya Kenya ni hiyo. If we can implement this constitution, we'll be out of the woods. The problem is we don't want to implement it. We watered it down from the Bomas process. It was very heavily watered down. Then even this watered down version, people don't want to implement it. That's where the problem is. And I've seen a lot of anger here. But the anger is being directed at the puppets, not the puppeteers. Even Ruto is a puppet. The day we understand that, the decisions in this country are being made elsewhere, that's the day of our emancipation. So the question I've been asked about the dwindling funds of government, and these funds, what are they for? The funds that were the taxes we are paying, what are they for? For me, the taxes designed to ensure that we remain a client state. We become a client state and we remain one. These are not taxes that are basically for service delivery. If you look at the architecture that has come in, especially in the legislations we have had, it has been that government should not be a service provider. Government should be a tax collector and not a service provider. When the president forms a task force to audit the national debt, and he doesn't put a pause on paying that debt, what is he up to? If you don't know what you are paying, why are you continuing to pay? That is the kind of games you don't want. And he is a puppet for those who are driving a neoliberal agenda in this country to reduce us into modern slaves who are tenants paying rent in their own country. You were paying rent to be in Kenya. So who are you paying that rent to? So I think that if we implemented our constitution, beginning with chapter 1, that the people are sovereign, and we decided to say we are sovereign, and we put our foot down, and dared whoever wants to dare us, that we are a sovereign people, we shall begin putting a solution to the issues we have. Otherwise, we shall continue engaging outside the arena. Sometimes I like watching American wrestling. Not the traditional wrestling, but American wrestling, where people throw each other out and club each other out of the ring, and the referee does not see it, does not count. So that's the kind of thing I'm seeing in this room. A lot of anger, but fighting in arenas that will deliver nothing. For the short time I've been here, I've had people agonizing. I've not had anybody organizing. There's a lot of agonizing, there's a lot of complaining, there's a lot of whining. I even saw one complaining about my committee yesterday, which was interrogating this thing of the oil, the importation of oil, that this is where we are getting shocked that KBC was the Kenya Commercial Bank is about to collapse because of the pressure it was put upon to finance these tags, to bring in so-called cooking oil and stuff. So let us come back and say, what do we need to do to implement our constitution? Let us not get distorted into this debate that will not deliver. We can argue the question of debt until the chickens come home. You are not going to get anywhere. What I want to see happening, how do we organize to be the sovereign people that chapter 1 of the Constitution opens with? The only thing I agreed with is somebody who said that Parliament virtually and the State House were dissolved the day demonstrators got into Parliament and the MPs ran away. The delegated power for me, for all practical purposes, was withdrawn. And right now the government we have, whatever you call it, broad-based or whatever, it is a government that is in place by force of arms. And it says, you come, we shall kill you. And you had the president on 25th of June state on national TV that at whatever cost, the status quo will be protected. None of you heard him. And that's the reality. So the question should be that on your mind should be that how do we defeat this military organization as a people? Do we keep on throwing our bodies at it and being mowed down? Or within the system, are there spaces within which you can organize and legitimately take over the power and implement the agenda in Article 1 that the people are sovereign? Nothing else matters. Everything else is anchored on that particular phrase. Right now, the people are not sovereign. That's why, for some of us who are older, have seen at independence we got a semblance of a state. But if you look through time, and I want to give you the question of construction of roads in this country. We used to have the Ministry of Roads, or Ministry of Work, Public Works and stuff. She has kept on changing this name, but it basically did public works. It had caterpillars. Even in the villages where we were very far from Nairobi, in the border of Uganda, you could see government caterpillars building roads, caterpillar tractors. Today, they came up and said, instead of saying that this ministry should be strengthened and if there's any mismanagement, we deal with it, they said dissolve this ministry, create organizations, there are 4 organizations. There's a mother organization called the Kenya Roads Board at the top. Underneath, we have got the Kenya National Roads Highway for building trunk roads. Then you have got the Kenya Urban Roads, doing the urban roads. Then you have got the Kenya Rural Roads Authority doing whatever, the rural roads. I've looked around. These people don't even own a spade. There are bureaucracies for processing tenders. There are bureaucracies for processing tenders. The last 30 years, I've had an office at NSSF. And I've been observing something that may escape many people. NSSF is a government body. It requires to have the security mechanism, people, these watchmen, the security guards. NSSF keeps on contracting, issuing tenders for different companies to come after a period of about 3 years. They say they've changed whoever is supplying the tender, whatever. One thing I've noticed, most of the guards there just change uniform. They tell you it's a new company, has been given a tender, but people who have been there for 30 years, I keep on seeing the same people changing uniforms. But then, you go that we look at what NSSF is paying per watchman, and what then those tender holders pay that person is terrible. I ask myself, why can't NSSF employ these people directly and pay them the salary they're paying the tenderpreneurs and have them live proper lives, raise proper families and live? Because are the same people who keep on changing uniform. Why are we having this?
Senator, just to clarify what you were saying, you're talking about organizing to be the sovereign people.
Yes.
Is it organizing towards the general election? Or what exactly?
I leave it to you to answer. I want to raise the problem. The general election, the way things are today, is also an arena that will not deliver. We must organize to make sure that the general elections we have are able to determine losers from winners and winners from losers.
Okay, all right.
So what I'm saying is that we need to look at the institutional framework and go back to the drawing board and begin organizing. How do we engage? Elections are there? Yes. But the problem is so deep that I want people to understand. And the reason I was giving this narrative of roads is that towards the end of Uhuru's government, I managed to push the government to allocate money to a road in Busia. This road is 22.5 kilometers. It was to be tarmacked. Money was given to Kenya Roads Board. Kenya Roads Board goes and gets the implementing agency, which is KERA. The first thing I'm asked when the money is given to KERA, part of the money is going to KERA, I'm called and said, Mheshimiwa, we have got money to start building your road. Do you have a contractor? I said, I've never built a road in my life. I don't even know into contractors. So in the discussion, I told the MD, what I want is a road. I don't have a contractor. Then along somebody tells me, you know you're a politician, and I know you have got many needs. And if you have a contractor, then you'll be able to get some money given to you for your things. So I said, I don't want that. So I insisted, and I kept off. Eventually, they did the tender. They identified their contractor. Somebody comes on the ground. Then I noticed something very strange. You know these cubicle, these things where the squares where they build the sites. The kind of iron sheets the fellow was using to fence was really one that was really had been used over and over and over. Then I began wondering, does this man have the capacity to do a road worth 2.5 billion? So to cut a long story short, he brings in equipment, looks funny, he begins building the road. I decided to hire a firm of private engineers to do an audit of what is happening. Then I realized the road had been narrowed, the specifications, the tarmac was thinner, the foundation, most of the part was, they were compacting the earth, not putting in stones. So the report is done. I go with the report back to the Kenya Roads Board. I say, look at what's happening. And these people say they are suspecting about 41 million shillings has not been factored into the project. They would have been given 150 million to do a section and a bridge. So I go to Kenya Roads Board. They look at the report from this private firm I had hired to audit the project. So they hire their own auditors to go on the project site. And they discover that it's not 41 million missing, it is 60 million that has been taken out of 150 million. That's almost half has been taken out. Showed work is being done. The money is there, and the project is behind time. It was supposed to take 6 months. This was about 2 years later. Now, a road the 22-kilometer road that is fully funded, that should have been built about 6 months ago and completed, has only been built 1.3 kilometers. And now they want to begin revising the costs because they felt the money that was given was much more than the cost of the road. Right. So they have to hang around to still. So that is the depth of the problem. Okay. It's not a question of it's not a question of politicians. Yeah. Because I've heard a lot of people talk about politicians. The road goes the whole way. All right. And we must begin cleaning it from there.
All right, Senator. We'll come back to you. Wanjiru, really, as he says, it's not just about the political class or about the politicians. It is a solution that has to, should I say broad-based, that has to come from every corner of this country. What are your thoughts surrounding that?
Thank you so much, Sam. And